Hey, welcome back. I first want to start by saying thank you so much for the amazing response that I got in Saturday's $1 meal easy crockpot video recipe video. You guys blew me like out of the water. I was so impressed with the response of that video. And I had another one on the back burner already started, and I figured, well, I might as well get it up for you. So, anyways, I want to share with you really quick this garden vegetable soup from Trader Joe's. It's about 2 servings, it costs the same amount as this first soup that I'm making, that I would say is about 6 servings. And I just wanted to share with you that if you're really looking to cut back in your grocery budget, sometimes the less convenient option is more work. Obviously, this is taking a lot more time than opening a can of soup and then just sitting down and enjoying it, but it saves us a lot of money. We go both routes. There is not one route that is better. It's basically based on your lifestyle, but I know a lot of busy people have to use the more convenient option. We do it too, and I'm not shaming anybody that does, but if you have time once a week to make a couple of meals and then put them in the fridge or freezer to have them on hand, and you're looking to cut back on your budget for groceries, it can be a huge game changer. So I'm also saving the scraps because I'm going to share with you how to make some veggie broth at the end. And that's also another really great way to save some money. I haven't bought veggie broth in a couple of years, and almost every recipe I see online has some kind of broth. I'm also going to let you know that this recipe does have tomatoes in it because I had 2 tomatoes I needed to use up in my crisper, but both of these recipes are technically no tomato base because in a couple of my current recipe videos that are up, a lot of people have been asking for no tomatoes as a base for chilies, for soups, etc. And I do realize how often you see tomato bases. And as someone who loves tomatoes, I guess I'm like excited about it, but other than the tomatoes, both the recipes I'm going to share with you today have no tomato base. What's worse? Chopping onions, getting watery eyes, or going to wash your hands to get the onions off of them and then stubbing your toe? Ugh, it's a rough day in this kitchen. I also want to encourage you to use what you have on hand. Like I said, I'm using tomatoes here. You could use peppers. You could use a different type of vegetable. You could use anything you want. It's completely up to you. These recipes are really customizable. All I'm here is to kind of give you a general idea in case that's what you're looking for, or if you're just kind of have food fatigue. We all get that way. Same with seasonings. I don't count seasonings in my budget videos because I don't buy them every single time that I go to the grocery store. And like veggie broth, I don't include either because technically it's free. I make it myself. So I will share the cost with each of the meals that I'm making, plus the bonus item that I'm making, which I have to tell you, smells so good because it's currently baking. And hopefully this will give you some great ideas for your own home as well. What I do here on my channel is I just share with you what works for me and my husband. I just put a recipe together and I film it and I share it with you guys in hopes to encourage you to maybe eat a plant-based meal, eat a more budget-forward friendly meal, or just to give you an idea that you can take and use in your own home. And as far as these clips goes, you can clip them if you want to. You don't have to. I didn't. They're more so to carry it, but also keeps the heat in. It's very confusing. But I love my crock pot. It was gifted to me as a housewarming gift, and I will link it down below in case you are in need of one. It's really good. I highly recommend trying this one. This was my husband's favorite meal out of the 2, and I just served it up with some bread for him and plant-based butter, and then just a side of the soup stew for me. It was really good. Insight on prices, but I do want to say, as I always do in my budget videos, prices are different all over the world. So obviously what I pay for groceries might be less, might be more than what you pay, but this will give you some insight on how I do my planning. So like I said, I don't count my seasonings or my veggie broth because it's not something I'm buying every single week to make said recipes. So my cost are included sweet potatoes, beans, lentils, onion, my carrots and celery, and my Roma tomatoes, which puts me at $4.68. Now, I feel like these crock pot meals aren't as bulky as the ones I made last week. So I broke it down into a 5 serving versus a 6 because last week I used more, I feel like, bulkier ingredients to kind of make it more high calorie, but you can do any kind of servings that you like, but it brings it down to 94 cents per meal. Ingredients for the first recipe, which I just realized both of these recipes actually only have 5 ingredients, which I love. Handful of ingredients, minus like if you're going to use seasonings, and I'll put the prices for everything up on the screen along with the cost per serving at the end so you can see it in case you want to do some price comparisons. I know a lot of people like to have the numbers, but if you are gluten-free, then this will work awesomely for you. If you're not gluten-free, you're gonna save even more money because this pasta cost me about $2.69, but I had a coupon and I got Fetch Rewards, so it was less than $2 a box. I've honestly never used this oven-ready gluten-free pasta by Barilla before, so fingers crossed it's a good one. And then lentils, I just buy by the pound. I don't buy them in bulk anymore. And it's about 67 cents per cup dry, which makes 2 cups when it's cooked. I have an onion. And then I also have Italian style diced tomatoes and tomato sauce. This is like extra. You don't have to buy them like this. You can just add extra seasonings. However, this is the same price for me at my store than like regular unseasoned ones. So, I mean, if you didn't want to add any additional seasonings, this is a good way to just grab that. But I don't know how everybody's stores have things priced. I don't know if it's more or less at your store or the same. Like I said, this is just what I'm using, and hopefully I'll inspire you to make something similar. If you are not gluten-free, you're gonna save even more money. I've actually noticed the price of pasta, it really varies depending on what store I go to. So let me know down below, what is about a normal pound of pasta where you're at? It really fluctuates here between $1.25 and $1.75, which it always used to be like 99 cents a pound. So I find that really interesting. But anyways, we have to get these lentils cooking to make some lasagna. Okay, so for my lentils, I just make them on the stove top. You can make them in the pressure cooker if you want to, but it's 1 cup dry lentils to 4 cups water. Bring that to a boil. And then once it starts boiling, bring it down to a medium-low heat. You almost cook this like you do rice, except you cook with a lid on for 25 minutes. It's really easy. You can season it with whatever you want. I usually do them plain, and then I season them after they're cooked. A couple extra steps here with my onions because I want them cooked differently. When I put them in the lentils, sometimes in the water, they kind of get, I don't know, kind of weird to me, but you can definitely put them in the lentils. I'm going to cook them on the side. It'll take like 5 minutes and then add them to the lentils when the lentils are done cooking. I'm going to add a little bit of vegetable stock just to that. I make it myself, so that's kind of a nice way to save money. The recipe is always in the description box, or you can check it out on my blog. And then I'm gonna add some salt, garlic powder, and a little bit of tomato paste. This is just really gonna add a lot of depth of flavor. If you don't like tomatoes or can't have tomatoes, you can definitely leave this out and do something different. You can do a white cream sauce. If you want a cheese sauce, you can also check out, I keep saying it, but check out my blog. There's a couple cheese sauces you'll find down there if you don't want to do tomatoes. This smells so good. And I don't know if I already said this, but I'm cooking these on the side with the sauce, and then I'll mix the lentils in. I just feel like it gives a lot more flavor, and everything cooks best to my liking, but you can definitely add the lentils in here and cook them if you want to. Completely up to you. I think the tomatoes cook better on their own. So it's like making a sauce and the lentils and then putting it together and creating your lasagna. So I'm adding my tomatoes, my tomato sauce and diced tomatoes into this, and I'm just gonna let this simmer. This is so good. Just have this with pasta It's so, so good. I'm just gonna let this simmer with a lid on it until my lentils are all finished. And this is gonna be a very saucy lasagna. You could add different things to this if you like vegan cheeses or, I mean, basically anything that you might like, but this is very simple and it's gonna be very hearty. You can see my lentils are boiling. I let them boil for about 5 minutes before I reduce the heat to about medium low in between. I put the lid on and then I just let them cook off for 25 minutes and then I'll add the lentils to my sauce and then build my lasagna. I taste tested my sauce. It's real good. I'm getting a 9x13 glass baking dish and I will put a little bit of cooking spray on this. Personal preference, I don't like it to get yucky and then it takes a long time to scrub off. So I always put that in there so nothing sticks. But I'm gonna make a little assembly line. My lentils have about 10 minutes left. So I'm gonna make a little assembly line. I got a little cup measure. I'm gonna put the lentils in here. Got the pasta, le pasta, and put this together. And I believe these cook fairly fast. Not really, 40 minutes. Okay, well, I'll make up for it with the next meal because this one's a little bit slower, you know, but the next meal is gonna be fast, I promise. You're gonna bake this at 425 for 40 minutes covered, and then it says additional 20 minutes uncovered. I'm gonna check it and see where it's at because I don't have any cheese. I might keep it covered the entire 60 minutes. Hey Google, can you set a timer for 60 minutes and label it lasagna? Okay, just pulled the lasagna out of the oven. I did already peek at it. It's a little dry on top, which I'll be honest, I figured it would be because I didn't save enough sauce for the top. My portion ratio was wrong. Hopefully yours looks better than mine. But the noodles are still squishy and soft, so I'm not really worried about it. And honestly, I could just pick those off, but it's looking really good. And this is 4 portions, so just divide this into 4. I'm not gonna cut into it right now. I'm actually going to save it, let it cool down, and probably just like reheat it later. I think these noodles will be fine. They feel really good, and they're really soft underneath there. That looks good. It smells amazing. And this is a big portion. You know, like this is a 9x13, so dividing that in 4 I feel like is a really good portion. But like I said, I'm just gonna leave this sit and I'll share with you the prices of this meal here right now. Ingredients for the first meal: you're gonna need 1 cup of lentils, some pasta, a small onion, some tomato paste, a can of diced tomatoes, garlic, veggie broth, and seasonings of choice. The first thing I always like to do is to get my pot on my stovetop and turn the heat to about medium high. Get my onions, veggies in. For this one, I'm doing onions and a little bit of veggie broth instead of water. If you've been around my channel for a while, you know I don't cook with oil. It's personal preference. If you use oil, use oil. If not, water or veggie broth is awesome. Then I added some salt and seasonings. I'm using about 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. You could use anything that you like, but this meal right here is what I would have called growing up, well, my mom would have called, my grandma would have called a goulash or a hot dish, I guess. I'm not sure if those are like terms all over, but that's what this is. It's kind of like a hamburger helper replacement. And I'm really hoping to share with you some great ideas to save some money that are family friendly as well. So once my onions were cooked to my liking, I went ahead and added, like I said, my seasonings, my salt, my Italian seasoning, and then I added some garlic and my lentils, stirred that up, added 4 cups of water. I will leave a lentil recipe down in the description box below. Once my lentils were almost completely done, I added my pasta, which this is Banza gluten-free chickpea pasta, my small can of diced tomatoes, which also have Italian seasoning in them because they're the same price as regular tomatoes, so you might as well get that extra bang for your buck and have some extra seasonings if you want it, and some tomato paste. You could add really anything you want to this. You could add pumpkin instead of tomato in case that gives, any issues with your tummy or acid reflux. I just did a no tomato based soup recipe in crockpot recipes, so I'll link that video in the videos down below. If you just click the down arrow, you'll see a ton of videos that I am linking. So then I just put the lid on it and kind of let it finish cooking for about 7 minutes until my pasta is done. You can see this is nice and thick and delicious, and it makes a ton of food. Like I said, it mimics kind of a hamburger helper or a goulash or a hot dish. It's really delicious. You could add anything you'd like to this. You could make it super creamy if you wanted to add some coconut milk or unsweetened nut milk. You could use any kind of pasta you'd like. If you're not gluten-free, this recipe would be even cheaper because, as we know, regular pasta is always cheaper than gluten-free. So here is recipe number 1. My kitchen smelled so good this day, and as you know, I like to make our meals ahead for our busy weeknights, so I'll just warm this up when we're ready to eat it. You all know I love to share with you the cost of each meal. Like I said, these are both $5 or less, so lentils, pasta, all these ingredients are really inexpensive and probably things you have on hand. So you can screenshot this next little clip right here if you want the recipe. And here are my costs. Lentils, 40 cents for 1 cup dry. Pasta, which is gluten-free, around 8 ounces, cost me for this meal about $2.50. Again, if you're not gluten-free, that is going to lower the price significantly. Gluten-free pasta right now is about 5 times as expensive as regular pasta. It's kind of crazy. Can of tomatoes, 64 cents. Tomato paste, I just took half of the can and used it for both recipes, so I split that cost in half. And then an onion for about 50 cents for a total of $4.38. I would say this meal is a hearty meal of 5 servings, so you're looking at about $1 per serving, which is really incredible. Instead of doing like a taco bowl with lettuce, I'm gonna do it with asparagus. Since I have it, I'm like, yeah, let's switch it up. Lentils, always a go-to. High protein, great fiber, super filling, super nutrient dense. And I have some homemade taco seasoning I'll add to those. Then I'll make some rice. I'll also make extra so I can have this again tomorrow. I'll do some hummus dip as my sauce. I think I also have taco sauce here. I'll have to double check. And then I add some tomato. This poor guy's on his way out. So yeah, I'll make a lot and then my husband will have some too. Taco bowls is something that we have multiple times per week. Now, my husband had just ran to another grocery store because we shop at 2 every week, but sometimes I don't want to go to the second one, so he'll go. Anyways, when he came back, I was like, hey, do you want taco bowls? And he's like, actually, no. He's like, if you make extra, I'll have some, but we had leftover pizza because we had people over the night before playing games. It was so fun. And so he's like, I'll eat that so you don't have to make anything additional. So I did make a little bit extra so I could take some with me to lunch the next couple days. But if you need an easy recipe, I always say this, taco bowls are perfect because you can make a lot of these ingredients ahead and then just put whatever you want together in a bowl at every meal. And you can like meal prep for a week in like 25 minutes. It's awesome. The ingredients that I'm using for this lentil loaf, like I said, I will type the recipe with substitutions on my blog so you guys can save it. But I have half of a pepper that I want to use up, so I'm going to add that. I'll use half of this onion and some mushrooms to kind of add some veggies. I'm also going to do veggies on the side, probably like a side salad because that's just what I have on hand. I will also use salt, and that might be it. We'll see. Anyways, I have some tomato paste, some minced garlic, jalapenos. If you do not want spice, don't add these, but lentils have such a good base. You can add like anything and just get a lot of flavor. And then some Dijon mustard. Lentils, I'm gonna do a cup of half of these. I'm gonna boil them on the stove. I have like the perfect lentil recipe for stovetop lentils. And then I'm gonna do a cup of rice. They do have to be made separately, but if you make these ahead, you can make this loaf at any time and just throw this all together. So this will take me about 25 minutes to put together, and then I'll bake it in the oven for a little bit of time. But I'm so excited, and I'm gonna make a lot. So if you want to, you could double this. I'm also thinking this might make a really good freezer meal, so when I'm pregnant, I can make this ahead and then pull it out and pop it in the freezer. So we'll see about that. Okay, have my rice going, my lentils going. Once these come to a boil, you cook them almost identically. Like, it's so easy. So for the lentils, once they come to a boil, I go ahead and turn it to low heat, put a lid on, and cook it for 25 minutes. Double the water as you do lentils. So 3 cups of water to a cup and a half of lentils. Do the math, it's always double the water to lentils. Rice is the same, always double the water as to rice. When it comes to a boil, you put a lid on it, put it on low, and cook it for 10 minutes. And it's the easiest thing. It always turns out perfect for me. So we're gonna let these guys sit, come to a boil, and then we'll pop their lids on. Okay, cut and chopped all my veggies. I am going to saute them just in water with a little bit of salt, so that way they're nice and tender, so they don't slow down the cooking process once I put it into the oven. And my oven is now preheated to 375. These guys have 20 minutes left. This guy has 7 minutes left. He started a little bit slower, so whole stovetop full. Okay, tomato paste, garlic, brown, what is this stuff again? Not brown mustard, Dijon mustard, whole grain Dijon. You can use brown mustard too, or whatever you want really. This is what I'm doing. I'm gonna mix this together, add a little bit of water so it is more like a sauce. And then this will go on the top of my loaf and it'll bake in. It'll be just really good. Okay, I cooked these veggies for about 5 minutes, just until the onions started to get kind of translucent, because I know they're gonna cook again in the oven, and it just kind of helps speed things up. This smells so good. It makes me think that I wanna do like a burrito bowl with these meal prep for next week, because they just smell amazing. Okay, my apologies, I got sidetracked. So now everything's mixed together. The rice, the lentils, the veggies. I just let them finish, and it's a little liquidy, but I think it'll be fine. I'm gonna shape it on this, put my topping on, and get it in the oven, and it'll be so good. I've made so many different types of loaves, but never with lentils. I always do them with white beans or chickpeas, but I'm really excited for this one because I feel like it's gonna be the best tasting.